All right, we're back here with Dr. Jackson inside the power of practice. And this lesson, I just love. But I have a funny story. Practice is something that I really believe is deliberate self-improvement. That's where the power is gained to be able to know how to do something. You brought up repetition earlier, which is right on the head. Practice, repetition, reiteration, continuing to do something. I think the successful person is not the person that knows how to do everything right. I think the successful person is the person that knows all the corrections for all of the errors. So they don't fear movement, they don't fear messing up because they know how to fix what's wrong. But that comes from practice, that comes from failure, but not feeling like a failure. And that's where you get to practice. I tell my kids all the time, when they play sports, I try to tell them, man, you got to deliberately self-improve. You got to practice. Or when they're lifting weights, or, that's like my core life lesson to them is the ability to be able to deliberately self-improve. And they act like they don't know what I'm talking about. So now I say, okay, remember when you first started playing your video games and you wasn't as good as you are now, but you went and watched a little YouTube video of somebody else playing it, and now magically you got this new skill that you could drop on your friends at the doubt, and they didn't see it coming. Yeah, man, that was practice right there. That was some deliberate self-improvement right there. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, the light comes on. Yeah, son, you know the process. You go through it all the time for things you want to do, even unconsciously. Now we're going to bring the process and make it more deliberate with good choices, using the mind, the brain, and our ability to imagine what we want to become. Now we're going to use the power of practice. And can you speak to practice?
I can. I definitely would be happy to speak on this. I can speak of it from two perspectives. So, in dentistry, practice is the only way that you get better. You have to go and do every procedure over and over and over again, and you have to be able to walk from that because you know that that's what's helping you become who you desire to be as the dentist that you want to be, or the dental professional that you want to be, or the person in general. Well, the other perspective I was going to say is that I also practice affirmations daily. I have mirrors on the mirror at my house. I have 7 affirmations that's on there, and I read them to myself every day. You are beautiful. You are smart. You are supposed to have this life. You are able to achieve all that you put your mind to. You can collectively receive the things in life that you desire if you're willing to do the work for it. And so by having affirmations also repeated daily has allowed my mind to not be as distracted when I'm critiqued by people or when people tell me certain things. I know that in my mind, I've already structured it to be able to overcome those things in terms of my life and where I want to go.
Now that's beautiful. I love that. That is, man. Did y'all take notes? Take a note of that. That's some wisdom right there. And I think, also when it comes to practice, like you said, you're preparing your mind for what you're gonna do during the day and whatever may come your way. When you practice a skill, it works the same way. You're prepared for opportunity. See, a lot of times people try to find the perfect timing in life, or they want an opportunity. You don't realize that opportunities are in front of you all the time. You just don't have the skills to capitalize on certain ones. But you will now through self-construction, because you'll be making yourself into the kind of person that can take advantage of more things than you used to be able to. You know what I mean? But I feel like with practice, it's what timing is all about. When opportunity meets preparation, that's perfect timing. And practice is all about preparation. You know what I mean? When I was in high school and I wanted to become a drum major, I decided I wanted to be a drum major when I was in 8th grade. And so when I was in 8th grade, I started looking at the guys who were already running the band, the seniors, 5 years ahead of me. But each year I would study what those guys were doing. So when it came time for me to try out, to try and be one when I was a senior, I knew every single part of being a drum major. I was right there at perfect timing. It was time for the opportunity, but because I knew it was 5 years ahead of me in 8th grade, I was able to prepare and practice. I would I would march around the house with a broomstick like I was the drum major to some music on Napster. Some of y'all know what Napster is. I used to march around the house, but I would pretend that I was already a drum major before I was even to have an opportunity. And when the opportunity came, I got selected because I was prepared. Same thing when I was working at Whole Foods when I was a younger man. I learned that I didn't want to be on baskets and I didn't want to be on the register. I wanted to be a supervisor, but I was only 17 years old. So what did I do? I went to the supervisors who were already there and I started asking them, what do supervisors do? How do supervisors do this? What are the job responsibilities? I used the same method that I had used to become a drum major to become a supervisor. So then when I got into the supervisor interview, and I was only 17 years old at the time, I only been working there 6 months. But when the interview came, I was able to tell the boss everything a supervisor does. And I had been given the supervisors who were already on my shifts longer lunch breaks and standing in for them to do supervisor things. So when I sat in my interview, it was not only do I know all the stuff, but you can save money and time on training me because I already trained myself. But that's when preparation meets opportunity. I made it easier on you to pick me because I'm ready, So the power of practice, it is deliberate self-improvement in action, the very essence of the building blocks of self-construction.